But we have something called the Valentine's weekend, which is starting today.
Which starts today.
Today. So
I like.
And Mike, I'm not a social media person per se, but yes, I receive flowers. Yeah.
Congratulations, ladies. You're doing well. But I think something that needs to be highlighted, honestly, with this whole Valentine's thing, because there's so much pressure. I mean, I was driving around town yesterday. In fact, I put it on my Instagram, was the question of pressure. There was flowers all over. There were these guys who were selling plastic flowers. And I think there's a lot of pressure on many, first to give flowers, but there's also pressure on some to receive, and some may not receive. But it's not to say that they're disadvantaged in any way.
Well, you know, Valentine's Day is like Christmas Day and graduation day. People celebrate. It is normal. It is expected. So to that man who was running across town, carrying flowers to their loved ones, it is okay. It's normal. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. To the ones who used the services of delivery people, it is still okay. It is still fine. Yes. If you receive flowers, well and good. If you didn't, maybe you'll get some flowers next year. But I don't think there should be pressure. No pressure. No pressure. In fact, Valentine's Day, you should make Valentine's Day, you know, like your lifestyle. Yeah. Appreciate your loved ones every single day. Not just the 14th, because the funny thing is that for some people, the last time they received flowers was 14th of last year, February last year. That's like 365 days ago. Yeah, yes.
But now, boy, also speak to the person who did not receive, because the pressure might be there to give, but there are also some who might feel, and for me, I don't know, but it's not a disadvantage that you didn't receive. There's that pressure that makes you feel like somehow you're disadvantaged, or you're not loved, or things are not going on well for you, and you could actually get depressed just by not receiving flowers.
Flowers are not everything, and you can show love throughout the year. It doesn't have to be one day. It's better to receive from your loved one things you love, because I always say it doesn't have to be flowers. If your loved one knows, or your better half or your boyfriend knows that she loves chocolate, why don't you give chocolates instead of flowers? She loves shoes. Why don't you give a pair of shoes? It doesn't have to be glamorous, high-end shoes. If you know your income bracket is somewhere and your lady loves shoes, find a decent pair of shoes. If it's about, she hates flowers, she loves dresses or anything else, pick what your partner loves. It doesn't have to be flowers, because at the end of the day, most of the women get the flowers and they're like, really? Does he even know I hate this kind of flowers? I hate roses and all that. So whether you receive or not, it's not something that is a must.
But you should receive something.
But at least receive something.
At least receive something. And then they wait for another year, because 14th only comes again next year. The only thing is that men sometimes complain, because it seems there's 14th, there's Mother's Day for those who...
International Women's Day is coming up in March.
And I think the pressure comes in when you wait for when the women know you only give on the 14th or on Mother's Day, and you have to be pressured.
But the thing is, even as a woman, do you just want to be given on the 14th? Because for me, that would have very little meaning. I'd rather that you don't even give me on the 14th if you're not going to give me at all. It would rather be an extended thing that happens. Then if on the 14th it happens, well, I'll feel good.
Yeah, so if men would give different seasons of the year, women will not have pressure, because they know, at some point I will get something. I don't know when, but now they know it's just that day. So it's a pressure. You have to give me that day.
But let me also ask the question, because Valentine's is meant to be about love. Love is not one way.
Exactly.
So why should it only be the women receiving? Mbona si atupewi? Atutaki maua, by the way.
But we gave you the visa to go for the men's conference. What else do you want?
Bas, very good. So we went for the men's conference, but the men's conference means there was no Wi-Fi, there were no pictures to be taken, although there were memes that were doing rounds and there was enough videos that were doing rounds. But that means we were not available, which is why even the likes of Smita, Stevens are probably missing, because they're still at the men's conference or recovering.
No, first of all, you needed to have. I mean, Valentine's is in February, and you have enough time to plan. 365 days to plan. So basically, you could have done prior arrangements to make sure the flowers and the gifts and the goodies are delivered, even as you exit to Zimbabwe. Is that where the men's conference was?
There was one in Zimbabwe, there was some in SA, there were all over.
But I even saw a program, it resurfaced, I mean, everything. We had all the information, yeah? And there were so many how-tos and how-not-tos. We even had a list of the speakers. We saw them.
And even Sonko offered Sonko Rescue Team to take women, to take men, I mean, to the men's conference.
Although I also
and he appointed himself as the Secretary General of the men.
But you know, let me tell you something, Mike. I think, you know, we might have been joking about this meme, but I think it is...
There was a message.
There was a message. It is important for people to get some me time, whether they're men or women. Yes, you can... I think it's okay.
And that's the thing. I don't know whether people in this day and age value the fact that as much as you've come together as a couple or whatever, there is necessity for me time, where you literally just break away. And it doesn't have to be me time because you're doing anything, you know, illegal or unacceptable.
Yes.
It's just me time for you to think, you know, concentrate and just, you know, and that might even make you a better person for the other person.
A retreat, you know, to go and recharge yourself. You know, the thing is,
the word recharge.
Yes, coming from a point of experience, Boyo,
I'm not experienced.
I've done this for a couple of years. Sometimes it weighs you down, yes. The pressures and the expectations, the raising of children, the taking care of the husband, the taking care of yourself. You need to go and recharge. And you, like you said, you don't really have to go and, you know, commit a crime. You don't have to do anything. Everybody deserves a me time. So when we have given you guys 14th February
for me time
to go to your men's conference. Now, here is the catch. When our time comes to go for our women's conference, please...
Which I have already seen memes out, and I think it starts it's a whole weekend.
Yes, when that time comes, please, gentlemen, let's not start having this. I mean, you don't have to present a proposal. I mean, let's just return the favor, kindly, yes.
Okay. All right, and we'll move on to other things that have been hot. But one of the things that I've seen that you have in the papers that I wanted us to also look at, or not in the papers, but in the Pulse, is the story of one of Kenya's well-known rapper, and that is Mr. Calligraph Jones. On the Pulse today, there is revelation of his latest catch, his girlfriend, and she definitely is not coming alone. She has come as a package, according to what I see here. But before we even get to the package, there's also, you know, notions and accusations that apparently he had been abusive.
Yes. First, the story is on Pulse, page 4. You can get to know more about Calligraph's new girlfriend. She's called Georgina. But the whole of this week, the ex-girlfriend, who is Kashi, has made different interviews, has been in different interviews in radios, and she's been talking about the abuse she suffered while dating Calligraph. She said at one point he hit her. But he apologized, saying it is I came from an abusive family. I'm sorry, it won't happen. But the thing, that was not the case. It happened several times, and now she's ready to talk about it and all that. But at the same time, Calligraph denied knowing her. After having last year, they released a song, and they went on tours, and he was busy saying, yeah, this is my girlfriend, this is the one. But after this happened, and she came out saying he abused me, he said, I don't even know who you guys are asking me about.
Wow.
The fact that he did not acknowledge what he did, if it's true, it's really sad.
But you see, that's now where the tricky part comes in, because that is her word against his. So who do we believe in this case?
No.
He's refused to answer anything in regards to that.
You know, that is why domestic violence becomes very tricky, because you might actually dismiss a genuine case for lack of evidence in this sense, because when you are attacked or assaulted, and there are things you're supposed to do, like you're supposed to go and report, you're supposed to get a doctor's report, you're supposed to get yourself a P3 form. So if none of that happens at that particular time, it becomes very difficult to figure out if what you're saying, if you're making up the accusations or if it is true. So for Kashi, it's very unfortunate. But I'm not saying it could have happened. But because she did not follow the right procedure, which is also very tricky, because if you're in an abusive relationship, speaking up is also another thing.
It's another thing. And it brings me also to one of the cases that took place this week, which is Caroline Mwatha, which is very, very unfortunate. But looking at it from the pressures that we put upon ourselves as societies, because one, here is a lady who maybe never spoke out because of the pressure of thinking, what will people think? This is Calligraph Jones. Will I be exposing? Will I be hanging our dirty linen out there? Then you also look at another social pressure of Caroline Mwatha, who apparently, according to the pathologist, died because of internal and external bleeding as she tried, or was an abortion was being procured. Right now, we don't know if it was induced or it was voluntary, so we'll leave that at that. But the pressure of feeling that I am pregnant, I don't want, I mean, there's so many questions right there. If it is true that she was trying to procure an abortion, then there's the moral question of who are we as a society?
Well, maybe even before I talk about Caroline, if Calligraph does not fix himself, then this girl, this beautiful girl called Georgina, God forbid, in a couple of years, we will come back to the same spot. So, because abuse is a condition. Unfortunately, in Kenya, we don't believe in counseling. It's not in our DNA. We don't do it.
Actually, when you
it
go
is for the weak.
You're thought to be mad.
And you know, if you have a troubled childhood, it will definitely catch up with you. And if it is true, because I'm not in the right position, I'm not in a position to brand Calligraph guilty or not. But if it is true, then he needs to go and fix himself, because that is something that he has to finish it, deal with it. Then he can move on and have a proper relationship with the woman. Otherwise, it will just be continuous over and over.
And of course, domestic abuse is something that we have discussed a lot in this country.
I have to.
And it goes both ways.
Yes.
But it's something that needs to be dealt with. But also mental health.
Exactly.
Because that's a thing that we rarely talk about. And there's a notion that if you go for counseling, or if you say you have mental health issues, then you're thought to be
umechizi, yes.
Which is something that needs to be discussed. Boyo?
Yeah, because in her statement, she said there was manipulation, financial manipulation, there was emotional abuse, there was slander, there was threat on her life.
Wow.
Which means if you're quiet about all these things, you'll end up being depressed, which leads again to mental and emotional illness. And if herself, she's not worked through that, again, it's going to replicate it through someone else, and again and again, and also to her well-being. So we should stop telling guys that until it's physical, that is when it's an abuse. Even emotional is much deeper, and it cuts deep.
And has no scars that are visible.
Exactly.
Yes. Scars that are internal, that are...
Until the person replicates it or does something to themselves, then you're like, oh my God, she was sick. But she's been sick all along.
Absolutely. All right, and maybe just as we wind up, Boyo, maybe the highlights for the Pulse. We've already talked about Calligraph Jones, and if you'd like to find out who his latest girlfriend is and what package she has come with, get yourself a copy of the Pulse. But what else is the highlight?
So last weekend, it was a birthday weekend, and they were like, the celebs went all out for birthdays. So we had Gorsemelango, who held his birthday over the weekend. We had Stanley Kamau, who was turning 50 and held his on his village with with hundreds of people, and it was majorly about his legacy. I was lucky to attend that. We also have Anita Nderu, who held her pajama party, and it was quite a showcase of the guys who attended it.
It's all in the Pulse. I also see there's an interesting story here, especially now that we're just in the backdrop of Valentine's. Match made in celeb heaven.
Yes. Get to see our Kenyan couples who have what's it called? They have tried relationship, but now it's no longer trying. They are in a relationship, and it's a beautiful experience. So we have them on page 8 and page 9 of our Pulse.
All right, and maybe just before we wind up, the Nairobian.
Well, I think in the past 3 weeks or so, yes, we have had cases of shootings and murder and all, and mysteries and all. Yes, so I'm not saying that is the lead story in the Nairobian, but it is something in that tune that there's a lady, yes, a tycoon, who claims that powerful people are after her because of a parcel of land which is worth over half a B, right? Yes, so you can find that information in the story. Then, of course, there's a story of there's a preacher who's caught up in drama with her flock. You can get that information in the Nairobian. Then also an issue here, we have adults who actually wet their beds. Quite intriguing. Yeah, you can also get the medical information about it in the Nairobian. And well, the Nairobian has a special feature on Valentine's special in sports. And we saw Mashemeji, that is AFC, and Gor Mahia put up a united front. Yes, there was a couples contest. Yes, between Gor and FC, and it was very interesting. So the Nairobian caught up with
that. And
yes.
I'm told we're really out of time, so sorry to cut you short, but do get yourself a copy of the Nairobian and the Pulse. There's a lot, there's so much.
Yeah.